There is a moment in your day that decides how well you'll sleep, and even how well you'll start the next day. It is the last few minutes before you fall asleep. You may not think of them as important. They might feel like a leftover part of the day, the part where nothing happens, where you simply wait for the clock to run down until you fall asleep. But in reality, these are the most important minutes you have. Because whatever state you carry across that line into sleep is the state that you carry with you into the dark. And it is, more often than not, the person who wakes up in your bed tomorrow morning. If you cross that line wound tight, you wake up tired even after a full night. You will call it a bad mood. You will blame the morning. But the morning had very little to do with it. You decided it the night before. I have watched this happen for many years now, to people I have loved, and to myself. They blame the work, the news, the age they are getting to. So stay with me to the end of this one, because the smallest part of what I am about to share with you could change your mornings entirely. Not your circumstances, your mornings. And then, slowly, a great deal else. I have been reading Seneca for a lot of my life, and here is the thing that first made me sit up when I first heard it. The people who sell you Seneca now, on the little quote cards, on the bright square images with the marble faces, they leave out the most useful thing he ever wrote. They give you the grand lines about fortune and death and time. Good lines, true lines. But they skip the small, practical, almost embarrassing thing he actually did every single night before going to sleep. Luckily for us, his night writings survived all this time, these few thousand years. So, tonight, I am going to read you Seneca's 7 routines, the first of which you can easily start tonight. Save this video to your favorites or to a playlist. Come back every night for a week, and you can thank me later. Welcome, nightlings. This is Huxley. If you like listening or falling asleep to real stories that will reveal life's deeper truths, then this is the place for you. Consider subscribing and let the next story find you when you need it most. Number 1. He set the day down. You have fixed the hour. You have put out the light. You have let the house go quiet. You have walked back through the day honestly, and you have forgiven yourself for it. There is one more thing to do before you sleep, and it is the gentlest of all of them, and in some ways the most radical. You let the day be finished. Seneca has a phrase for this, and it is, I think, one of the most beautiful things he ever wrote. He says that we should go to our sleep with joy and gladness, and that as we do, we should say to ourselves, I have lived. I have lived. The course that fortune set for me is finished. He treats each single day as a small, complete life. You were born this morning. You lived your one day. And now, at the end of it, you lie down and you say, that was a life and it is complete. And I set it down. He took the idea, oddly enough, from a man he rather disapproved of. There was a wealthy Roman named Pacuvius, who used to hold his own funeral every single night. A real one, with the wine and the feasting and the mourning, and he would have himself carried out from the dinner table to his bedroom, while the whole room chanted over him, "He has lived, he has lived." For Pacuvius it was a sad and showy thing, a vain man playing at his own death, because he could not face the real one. But Seneca looked at that ridiculous ceremony and saw, underneath all the theatre, something worth keeping. "Do the same thing," he says. "Only do it for a good reason rather than a wasted one. Come to the end of each night genuinely able to say, soberly without the wine and the musicians, 'I have lived.'" And he goes further, because he was a practical man underneath the philosophy. He says that the person who can say, "I have lived," every night, the person who has settled his account with the day, wakes up the next morning and receives every new day as a kind of bonus, an unexpected gift, found money, because he was not clutching at tomorrow. He had already let go of today. In another letter he puts it even more simply. "Begin at once to live," he writes, "and count each separate day as a separate life." Now, notice what this is and what it is not. Here is the part that I think we get backwards. The goal of the nightly review was never to fix the day. He was not lying there trying to solve everything, to win, to come out ahead, to make the bad parts not have happened. That is what we do, and it is why we cannot sleep. We are trying to fix a day that is already over, to re-argue the argument and win it this time, to undo what cannot be undone. He did not do that. He simply set it down, complete, exactly as it was, the good and the bad together, finished. Completion, you see, not perfection. You do not have to win the day in order to end it. You only have to put it down. The modern researchers have wandered up to the edge of this one too, though they call it gratitude. People who turn their attention before sleep to what was good in the day, what they were grateful for, tend to fall asleep a little easier and sleep a little better. And the reason they give is lovely and very Senecan. It is not magic. It is simply that the last thoughts you think before you sleep are the ones that color the whole night. Fill that last small window with grievance, and the night curdles. Fill it with "I have lived," and it settles. The last thought of the day becomes, in a way, the first thought of the next. So, choose it. On purpose. That is the line I would have you carry out of here tonight, if you carry nothing else. Not a grand line. A small one. I have lived. The very next thing he did asks you to give up the one thing you reach for last, every single night. Number 2, he put out the light. In that same passage, describing his ritual, he gives us the exact moment it begins. He says, and I am giving you his own words here, "When the lamp is taken out of my sight, and my wife, who knows my habit, has ceased to talk, I pass the whole day in review before myself. When the lamp is taken out of my sight, that is the trigger. That is the first physical act of the routine. The light goes. In a Roman bedroom, that meant a small clay oil lamp, a little flame carried out of the room or pinched dark. The last act of the day was to remove the light, and only then in the dark did the real work begin. Hold that picture, because we are going to come back to it. A hand lifting a small lamp and carrying it out of the room. The day's final decision. Darkness chosen on purpose. Now compare that, gently, to your own night. Seneca's last light was a flame the size of a thumbnail, and he could remove it with one hand. Your last light is a small sun. You hold it 6 inches from your eyes in a dark room, and you do not put it down. You bring it into the bed with you. You let it be the last thing you see. And here is where the modern science is not soft. It is quite firm. Light in the evening, the bright kind, the blue kind that pours out of screens, tells your brain it is still daytime. It suppresses the very hormone that is supposed to be rising to carry you down into sleep. In one careful study at Harvard, evening blue light held that hormone down for about twice as long as a softer light, and pushed the body's whole internal clock back by roughly 3 hours. 3 hours. You wonder why you cannot fall asleep, and then you spend the last hour before bed staring into the one thing engineered to keep you awake. The lamp went out. The phone stays on. It is the same human instinct, you see. One more minute of light. One more minute of the world. But for Seneca, that instinct ended the day, and for us it postpones it indefinitely every night. So number 2 is the simplest of the 7, and one of the hardest. Put the light down. Take it out of your sight the way he did. Let the dark be the signal. And here is the small mercy hidden inside it. The dark is not empty. When you finally stop pouring light and noise and other people's days into your eyes, the dark gives something back. It gives you yourself at last, with no one watching. That is uncomfortable for about a week, and then, slowly, it becomes the best part of the day, the one part that belongs entirely to you. And while we are still on this side of the dark, before we go any deeper in, let me say one small thing. If you find, after tonight, that you would like more of these quiet conversations to fall asleep to, I keep a Stoicism playlist over on Spotify. The link is in the description below, and a grandson of mine, who is endlessly patient with me, tells me that Spotify itself will now build you one on demand. You go to the page marked Create, you choose the option called Prompted Playlist, and you tell it what you want. Something like, build me a playlist of Stoicism podcast episodes, including all of Grandpa Huxley's Stoic episodes. Or, if Seneca is not quite your man tonight, you might try Eastern philosophers' Grandpa Huxley. I find the whole business rather bewildering. but it does seem to work, so I am told. There. That is the only practical errand I will send you on. The rest of tonight is just you, and the dark, and a dead Roman who turns out to have been better at this than we are. Because with the light gone, something arrives that the light had been hiding from you all day long. Number 3. He let the house go quiet, and then he discovered that the quiet was not where he thought it was. Now, I want to tell you a small story about this man, because it will make you like him, and it will make the lesson stick. Seneca, for a while, lived in an apartment directly above a public bathhouse. A Roman bathhouse was not a quiet place. It was the gym, the spa, the pub, and the social club, all stacked into one steaming, echoing hall. And he wrote a whole letter about the noise of it, because it was driving him to distraction. Listen to what he had to put up with. There were the men lifting weights, grunting and groaning as they heaved the lead about. There was the slap of the masseur's hands working a back. There was the fellow who simply loved the sound of his own voice in the bath and sang. There was the great splash of someone cannonballing into the pool. And then, his particular favorite, there was the man who plucked armpit hair for a living, who would walk through advertising his services in, as Seneca puts it, a penetrating shrill voice, and only ever fell silent when he was actually at work on some poor customer, who would then yell loudly enough to do the advertising for him. You can hear Seneca smiling as he writes it. It is 2,000 years old, and it is still funny. The noises change, the man stays the same. But here is the turn, and it is the reason the letter survived. He does not say, I must find a quieter apartment. He says something far more useful. He says that all of it, all of that din, may be raging away outside, and it does not matter in the slightest, provided that there is no disturbance within. The peace, he decided, was not out there to be found. It was in here, to be built. And this is where the routine asks something real of you. Because when you finally put the light down, and the house goes quiet, you will notice that the house was never the problem. The noise simply moves indoors. The room goes silent, and your mind, which has been kept busy all day, suddenly has the floor, and it starts to talk. About the email you did not send. About the thing you said in the meeting. About the person you have not called. About money. About the future. We have a name for that. We call it the racing mind, and we treat it as the enemy of sleep, as a malfunction, as proof that something is wrong with us. But here is what I have come to think. The racing mind at 2 a.m. is not the enemy of sleep. It is the day. Still talking. Because you never let it finish. You spent the whole day too busy to listen to it. So it waited, patiently, for the only time you would hold still. And now it has you in the dark, with nowhere to go. The modern researchers have a tidy phrase For the worst version of this, they call it rumination. The same thought going round and round, and they have found, unsurprisingly, that it is one of the surest ways to wreck a night's sleep. The mind running in circles cannot let the body down into rest. Your bathhouse is not above your apartment. It is inside your skull. And the lesson is exactly the one Seneca worked out, lying awake over that pool all those centuries ago. The quiet is not somewhere you go. It is something you do. And you build it the way you build anything worth having, a little at a time. The first night you lie there in the silence, the mind will be loud and you will decide the whole thing has failed. It has not. That loudness is just the backlog, the days you never listened to, all arriving at once. Night after night, as you begin to actually hear the day out instead of running from it, the backlog thins, and the quiet you went looking for out in the world quietly takes up residence inside you instead. It is the most ordinary miracle I know. So the question becomes, what did he actually do with the noise inside, once the noise outside had finally stopped? He did the most surprising thing in the whole routine. He put the entire day on trial. Number 4. He put the day on trial. This is the heart of it. This is the line his admirers leave off the quote cards, and I think I understand why. It is not grand. It does not flatter you. It asks you to do something slightly uncomfortable. And it is, after all these years, the single most powerful thing I know of to do with the last few minutes of your day. Here are his own words. He is describing what he does every night, and he says, I make use of this privilege and daily plead my cause before myself. When the lamp is taken out of my sight, and my wife, who knows my habit, has ceased to talk, I pass the whole day in review before myself, and repeat all that I have said and done. And then this. I conceal nothing from myself, and omit nothing. I conceal nothing from myself, and omit nothing. Picture it. The lamp is gone. The room is dark. The household is quiet. And this man, who advised emperors and was one of the most powerful figures in Rome, lies there and quietly walks back through his entire day, scene by scene, the way you might walk back through a house turning off the lights. What did I say there? Why did I say it that way? Was that fair? Was that true? He holds the whole day up and looks at it honestly before he lets himself sleep. And he did not invent this. He tells us plainly where he got it. He took it from an older Roman teacher named Sextius. And Sextius is a wonderful character, because he was once offered a seat in the Senate by Julius Caesar himself, the highest honor the Roman state could give a man. And he turned it down. He wanted his evenings free to think. That is the man who designed this practice. And Sextius, at the end of each day before sleep, would ask himself 3 questions. I am going to read them to you slowly. and I want you to hear them not as history, but as your own. What bad habit of yours have you cured today? What fault have you resisted? In what respect are you better? That is the trial. 3 questions in the dark, asked gently of yourself. Now, you might be thinking that lying in bed reviewing your day sounds like a recipe for staying awake, not falling asleep. And here the modern science does something I find rather beautiful. It agrees with Seneca, but it tells him to write it down. In one well-run study, people who spent a few minutes before bed writing things out, getting the day and the next day's tasks out of their heads and onto the page, fell asleep noticeably faster than those who did not. Roughly 9 minutes faster in that one study. The unwritten day circles. The written day lies down. And what was Seneca's review, if not the original version of that? The wax tablet by the bed was the first bedtime to-do list. 2,000 years before anyone studied it. So if your own review will not stay still in your head, if it spins instead of settling, then do exactly what he did. Keep something beside the bed. Paper, a notebook, it does not matter. And set the day down onto it. What happened? What is still unfinished? What you must not forget tomorrow? Move it out of the dark behind your eyes and onto a page, where it will keep safely until morning. Let the page hold the day for you, through the night. You do not have to. Now, I have to be fair to you about something, because I will not sell you a saint. This same man who lay in the dark examining his soul was also the richest private citizen in Rome, with a fortune so vast it scandalized people. He was the tutor and then the right hand of the Emperor Nero, which is not a clean thing to have on your record. And his critics in his own lifetime said exactly what you are thinking. How dare a man this wealthy, this entangled with power, lecture the rest of us about the simple life? Some would call him a hypocrite, and they would not be entirely wrong. But I will offer you the other side, and then let you decide. He defended himself once by saying that his riches belonged to him, while other men belonged to their riches. And I have come to think that the nightly trial is the one place a powerful, compromised man could not lie to himself. In the daylight he could perform. In the dark, with the lamp gone, there was no audience left to fool. Whatever else he was, for those few minutes he was honest. The practice can be true, you see, even when the man is flawed. Most true things reach us through flawed hands. If you are someone who once sat with me through the long life of Marcus Aurelius, you may remember he did the very same thing, by candlelight, in a war tent. An emperor quietly scolding and then forgiving himself on the page. But here is the part that surprised me the most. The first time I really read it closely. Not the trial itself. The verdict. Number 5. He judged himself. And he judged himself gently. You would expect a Stoic's private courtroom to be a harsh place. You imagine a stern old Roman flogging himself for every error, every weakness, every soft moment. That is what most of us do after all, when we lie awake going over the day. We prosecute, we hold up every mistake, and we convict ourselves again and again, with no defense permitted and no sentence ever served. That is not what he did. Listen to how the trial ends. After he has gone back over everything, hiding nothing, he speaks to himself, and what he says is this: I pardon you this time. See that you never do that again. I pardon you this time. He is not the prosecutor in that dark room. He's a fair judge. He looks at the whole day, the failures included, and then he forgives the man in the bed and asks him simply to do a little better tomorrow. The anger he had once felt at others and at himself, he turns off rather than turning it inward. And then, having seen everything and forgiven it, he sleeps. In fact, he tells us, and this is the last line of the whole passage, the line that ties it all together. He asks, how sweet is the sleep that follows this self-examination? That is why the sleep is sweet. Not because the day was good, because the day was seen and then forgiven. And this, I think, is the deepest difference between what Seneca did and what most of us do in the dark. Because most of us are holding a trial too, we just do not know it, and we are terrible judges. We admit only the evidence against ourselves. We let the prosecutor talk all night, and we gag the defense. We go over the one clumsy thing we said, and never once mention the 10 kind things we did. Seneca admitted all of it, the whole day, and then, having seen all of it, the failures and the rest, he forgave the man in the bed and let him sleep. The researchers, again, quietly back him up. The harsh, circling, self-attacking review keeps you awake. A kinder, honest, non-judging look back at the day is associated with better sleep, gentler nights. They would not say it cures anything, and neither will I. But the direction is clear, and it is his direction. So let me say this to you plainly, because I suspect you need to hear it from someone older. You are not lazy, and you are not broken, because you cannot switch off at night. You were simply never taught how to close a day. Nobody shows you. There is no lesson in it. So you carry the day, all of it, unjudged and unforgiven, straight into the dark. And then you wonder why the dark is so loud. So try it tonight, in his own words. When you reach the worst moment of your day, the one you would normally convict yourself for, again, the one you have replayed 100 times, stop and say to yourself the thing he said. I pardon you this time. See that you do a little better tomorrow, and then move on to the next moment and the next. It will feel strange the first few nights, like wearing a coat that belongs to someone else. Wear it anyway. You are allowed to be the fair judge in your own dark room, and not only the prosecutor. You have been the prosecutor quite long enough. Forgiving the day, though, is not the same as finishing it. There was one more move in his routine, and it is the one that turns a good night into a complete one. Number 6. He kept the same hour. This sounds like nothing. I know. We want the deep secret first, and I will give you the deep ones, I promise. But the routine begins with something almost dull. And the dullness is the point. We know it was a fixed habit, and we know it from a small, tender detail he let slip in his own writing. When he describes his nightly practice, he mentions almost in passing that his wife has gone silent beside him because she is, in his words, aware of his habit. The household had arranged itself around this. The room knew what time it was. The person who loved him knew that at a certain hour he became quiet and turned inward, and she let the room go quiet with him. It was not a thing he did when he happened to feel like it. It was a door he walked through at the same time, every night. Now, here is why that matters more than it seems. Most of us have no end to our day at all. Think about it for a moment. You have a time you start work. You probably have a time you eat. But what time does your day end? Not the time you happen to collapse. The time you decide on purpose, this is finished, I am closing it now. For most people, the honest answer is that there is no such time. The day does not end. It just runs down in the blue light until you fall off the edge of it into sleep, mid-sentence, mid-scroll, with the day still wide open. And a day that never closes cannot be set down. You carry the whole unclosed thing to bed with you. The modern sleep researchers, who know nothing of Seneca and would be surprised to find themselves agreeing with him, will tell you the same thing in their own language. A consistent hour, a regular wind down, a calm and repeated approach to the same bedtime. This is close to the most reliable thing they know. The most reliable thing. Your body is a creature of rhythm. It is even now, waiting to be told that the day is over. So it can begin the long, quiet work of putting you back together. On most nights, nobody tells it. So it waits, and stays half awake, listening for the signal that never comes. Seneca gave the day a door, and he walked through it at the same hour on purpose every night. That is the whole of number 1. Pick the hour. Mean it. And do not tell me this is advice for people with easy lives. This man knew hard nights. He once spent 8 long years banished to the island of Corsica, far from the city, far from his work, far from almost everyone he loved, with every reason a man could have to let his evenings fall to pieces. He did not. He kept reading. He kept writing. He kept the shape of his days. I have come to believe that the harder the days are, the more a person needs a fixed and gentle end to them. The day that has gone badly is precisely the day that most needs a door you can close behind it. Fixing the hour, though, was the easy part. There is a 7th thing. It is the hardest of the 7. and it is the one that explains how this man was able to die. Number 7. He let go. This is the deepest of the 7, and the one I have thought about the longest. The first 6 are things you do. This last one is a thing you stop doing. Seneca thought all his life about letting go. He believed you should keep the fact of your own mortality near you, not to be morbid, but to be free. He once passed along a piece of advice he treasured, just 2 words: think on death. And then he explained what he meant by it, because it sounds grim and it is not. He who has learned to die, he says, has unlearned slavery. The man who has truly made his peace with letting go of everything cannot be threatened with anything. He is, in the deepest sense, free. There is nothing left to hold over him. He knew this in his own body too. He suffered terribly from a breathing illness, something very like asthma. And the attacks were so severe that he said the doctors used to call them, rather darkly, practicing how to die. And what strikes me every time is what he says about lying there, unable to breathe. He says that even in the middle of it, gasping, he never stopped resting in cheerful and brave thoughts. He had practiced letting go so many times that when his body rehearsed death for him, he was not afraid. Now, I want to be careful here, because there is a lovely line that gets put in Seneca's mouth that he never actually said. People like to say that sleep is a little death, a nightly rehearsal for the real one. It is a beautiful idea. But that image belongs to the old poets, not to him. And I will not hand you a counterfeit, even when it is a pretty one. What I will tell you is what I have come to believe myself, after sitting with all of this for many years. I think the two are cousins. I think that every night, when you set the day down and let go and surrender to sleep, you are practicing in the smallest and safest way, the one thing every human being eventually has to do. You are practicing the opening of the hand, and here is where it becomes practical tonight for you. Because this is the part of sleep that no one can force. You cannot make yourself fall asleep. You have surely tried. The harder you try, the more it runs from you, and you lie there gripping, willing it, furious that it will not come. Sleep is the one thing you get only by stopping, only by letting go of the trying. So the 7th practice is the simplest possible version of his whole philosophy. You take one slow breath, and you let it out, long and unhurried, and as it goes, you stop defending the day. A long breath out is the body's own signal to itself. It quiets the heart. It shifts you toward the calm and restful side of your own nervous system. It says, you are safe now. You may stop. You have spent the whole day gripping. Number 7 is the moment you open your hand. And you will know it has worked, not because some great peace comes flooding down over you, but because you simply stop noticing. The thoughts are still there, somewhere, but they have quietly stopped asking anything of you. The bed is holding your weight. the day is behind you, and the very next thing you are aware of, if you are fortunate, is the morning. And I promised you at the very start that I would tell you why this man could meet his own death without flinching. So let me tell you now, because it is the proof of everything else. His death was neither gentle nor fair, and you have to know who delivered it to feel the full weight of it. Seneca had been brought into the palace years before to tutor a boy of about 11. The boy's name was Nero, and for a while, with the old philosopher's steadying hand on the young emperor, Rome had a stretch of decent government, the best years of that whole reign. But the boy grew into something monstrous. He had his own mother killed, he had his wife killed, and the old tutor, who had spent years trying to hold the worst of it back, finally gave up, handed much of his enormous fortune back to the emperor, and withdrew to his house and his books, hoping only to be left alone. He was not left alone. In the year 65, a conspiracy against Nero was uncovered, and the emperor, who had no further use for his old teacher and had perhaps wanted him gone for a long time, sent soldiers to the house with an order. The pupil commanded the teacher to die. And here is the thing the historian Tacitus records, who was no friend to flatterers. Seneca was calm. He asked for his writing tablets to add to his will. And when the soldier refused him even that, he turned to his friends, who were weeping, and said that since he was forbidden to thank them in the usual way, he would leave them the only thing he had left, and the best thing he had, which was the pattern of his own life. He embraced his wife, Paulina. He opened the veins of his arms. His body was old and thin from years of plain eating, and the blood came slowly. So he opened the veins of his legs and his knees as well. He took poison, the same hemlock that had once killed Socrates, and even that did not work because his cooling body would not take it in. In the end, they carried him into a warm bath, and the steam of it closed over him. And that was how he went. And through all of it, he was still talking, still dictating his thoughts to his secretaries, composing to the very end. His wife, Paulina, had tried to go with him. She opened her own veins at the same moment, unwilling to be left behind. But Nero, who bore her no particular hatred, sent word that she was to be saved, and his soldiers bound her wounds against her will. She lived on a few more years after that, quietly, pale from the loss of blood, and I have always thought from the other loss as well. He could let go of his entire life in one terrible afternoon calmly. And I do not think that was a special gift he was born with. I think it was a habit. I think he could set down a whole life, all at once, because he had practiced setting down a single day, every single night for 40 years. The small surrender, repeated 10,000 times in the dark, had taught his hands how to open. And I suppose this is the place to tell you the thing I promised you, all the way back at the beginning. Why I keep going back to this man after all these years. It is not really for the philosophy, though the philosophy is good. It is that I am an old man now, in a quiet house, and the person who used to fill this house with noise and warmth is no longer in it. The nights can be long at my age. And Seneca is the one who taught me what to do with them. How to walk back through a day I can no longer share with anyone, and look at it honestly and forgive it and set it down. How to say, even on the hard nights, perhaps especially on the hard nights, I have lived. He is, if I am honest with you, the friend who sits up with me. That is the reason. That is why I keep going back. So let me ask you the question I ask myself, sometimes, lying in my own dark room. If you knew that tonight's was the last lamp, if you knew this was the day that fortune had set as your last, could you say it honestly? I have lived. I have asked myself that more than a few times now, at my age, and I will tell you truthfully, I am not always sure of my answer. But I have noticed something. The question does not make the night frightening. It makes it kinder. It sends me back through the day to find the parts worth having lived. And that is a gentle way to fall asleep. And, if I may, one more small offering before we put the lamp out. If, after tonight, you find you would like to hear the actual words of these old friends of mine, read aloud in full, slowly by me, I do that over on Patreon. The whole of Seneca's letters in time. The meditations of Marcus Aurelius, some Epictetus, the Tao Te Ching, when the mood is right. And if you become a subscriber, you can ask me to read something in particular, and I will, within reason. I will not read you anything I find dishonest. But the real classics, read slowly, by candlelight, with room to think between the lines. That I am glad to give. Now, back to your room, the lamp, the dark, the day behind you. So here we are, at the end where we began. A quiet room, a small lamp, a hand reaching out to put it out. Only now you know what the darkness is for. Let me give the whole of it back to you in one breath so you can carry it. Fix the hour and mean it. Put out the light, the real one, and the small bright one in your hand. Let the house go quiet and meet the noise that was always underneath. Put the day on trial honestly, hiding nothing. Then judge it gently and pardon the one who lived it. Set the day down, finished, and say, I have lived. And then, last of all, let go and let the bed have your weight. 7 small things. None of them costs anything. The last one you can do in a single breath, tonight, in the dark, where you are. And if you do, you would be joining a long and very quiet line of people. The old teacher Sextius, who gave up the Senate for his evenings, Seneca, with his lamp and his wax tablet and his honest, forgiving trial. A great many others you will never know, in rooms you will never see, across 2,000 years, who learned to put the light down and set the day down, and sleep like people who had nothing left to defend. It is one of the oldest and kindest things human beings have ever done for themselves. And it is waiting for you, tonight, free the moment you decide the day is over. I will tell you the one thing I still do not know, and then I will let you sleep. I have never quite worked out whether Seneca forgave himself each night because he was wise, or whether he became wise slowly because he forgave himself each night. I have gone back and forth on it for years, and I have decided in the end that it does not much matter which came first. What matters is the habit, the hour, the lamp, the gentle verdict, the opening of the hand. And none of it asks you to believe anything. You do not have to be a Stoic. You do not have to be Roman or clever or even particularly good. You only have to be willing, for a few honest minutes in the dark, to stop running and to look at the day and to set it down. That is the whole of it. That is all it ever was. A few honest minutes repeated gently, night after night, until one day you notice they have quietly become the truest part of your life. The lamp is going down now. The room is dark. The day is finished and you may set it down. There is nothing left tonight that needs defending. Sleep now, nightlings, and wake up, as always, a little stronger and a little wiser. The story is done, but yours continues.